All right. I want to go back to a story that came up in the spring. It was about your lobbying work for the, at the time, African nation of Namibia and mining interests in Africa. Now, here's what caught my eye that wasn't really touched on. Namibia was a puppet regime of the apartheid regime of South Africa for many years. And so when you talk about mining in Namibia, you're inevitably talking about South Africa in that area. So did any of your work in the 1980s or 1990s, either for an employer or on your own, either indirectly or directly support that apartheid regime of South Africa?
Jeff, would you care to go through that point by point? It apparently doesn't seem to be any questions with regard to the resolution itself, but simply the whereases.
Okay. The first one is stated, that's easily understood. There's an ally of the United States. South Africa is a major source to the free world of vital minerals such as manganese, cobalt, platinum, gold, etc. South Africa has over 70% of some of these minerals. The rest, or provides a free world with over 70%. The only other supplier in many cases is the Soviet Union. Without a dependable and economic source of these minerals, many industries in the United States and the free world would be severely impacted, and the cost of these manufactured items would greatly increase. I think that's pretty well known. As far as going against moral standards, I think it coincides with our moral standards there. If the government of South Africa falls, it depends on how it falls if it did fall. If it fell to radical elements from the left, then this could happen, and that is a fear of many people. We would be deprived of an assured and economic source of these vital minerals. As far as economics, the economic sanctions having a direct impact on the a more direct impact on the black community, over here we tend to think of every black South African as a radical stone-throwing protester who will stop at nothing until the government is overthrown. There are moderate elements there. There have been a lot of polls taken both ways. Most of them come out with about that there are more moderates considered moderate than there are radicals. Now, those are funny terms, and most of them aren't moderate. They just don't care one way or the other, or don't know about the situation. It has had a dramatic impact on the black population. The biggest impact is that the companies pulling out, the American companies pulling out, who have abided by the Sullivan principles, did much good for the black population there. Since 1977, they have contributed over $140 million to black education, to social programs, to housing, and when our corporations pull out and these sanctions are imposed, it leaves these South African subsidiaries to take up ownership who are not obliged to follow the Sullivan principles and who would just as soon make a profit.